IEEE Kyiv Polytechnic Week from 2023. In addition, I congratulate all IEEE members on the 30th anniversary of IEEE in Ukraine. We started our activity with 50 members in Kyiv. Most of them were Kyiv Polytechnic Institute employees. We didn't have conference chapters or student branches, but now we are approaching our 30th anniversary with more than 400 members from all over Ukraine, 14 chapters, 6 student branches, and more than 15 IEEE conferences held per year. We held our first historical IEEE milestone a few years ago. And a few years ago, IEEE Board of Directors approved the first IEEE honorary member from Ukraine. It was Boris Paton. IEEE only has a maximum of 100 such honorary members per 400,000 members at the time. So it's very big honorary. I really hope for the further development of our IEEE Ukraine section, and I will be glad for your assistance for me as a chair of Ukraine section in next 2 years. At the end, I wish all the conference participants fruitful work and interesting reports. Stay healthy, and thank you for everyone. So this is my part of speech. And now my honor to invite honorary chairperson of this conference, member of National Academy of Science, Doctor of Science, Professor, Director of Telecommunication System Institute of Kyiv Polytechnic Institute, and also one of co-initiator of this conference and long-term UkrMiCo co-chair, as well as IEEE Live senior member. So welcome, Mikhailo Ilchenko. We do not hear you. Okay.
Шановні учасники конференції, вітаю вас з початком роботи нашої 5-ї конференції з інформаційно-телекомунікаційних технологій та радіоелектроніки.
Dear conference participants, I'm delighted to announce the beginning of our conference, and I'm glad to see you at our 5th International Conference on Information and Telecommunication Technologies and Radio Electronics.
За своїм змістом і науково-технічної спрямованості наша конференція відповідає сучасним вимогам до розвитку цифрової трансформації та інформатизації суспільства, а також інтенсивному поширенню індустрії 4.0.
In terms of its content, scientific and technical orientation, the UkrMiCo conference meets modern requirements for the development of society, digital transformation and informatization, as well as the intensive expansion of 4.0 industry.
Ці напрямки сьогодні є, власне, загальносвітовими трендами діяльності практично всіх розвинених країн світу.
They are the global trends in the activities of almost all developed countries.
Базовими напрямами цих процесів є проривні інновації з розвитку технологій інтернету речей та штучного інтелекту, аналізу великих даних, створення та запровадження високошвидкісних телекомунікаційних інфраструктур.
The basic directions of these processes are breakthrough innovations in the development of Internet of Things technologies and artificial intelligence, big data analysis, development and implementation of high-speed communications infrastructures.
Це загальносвітові тенденції, а от конкретним прикладом сказаного є виконання в КПІ імені Ігоря Сікорського вагомого міжнародного проєкту зі створення німецько-українського екселенс-центру з роботи з великими даними і транспортними технологіями. Цей проєкт виконується в рамках міждержавної угоди між Україною і Німеччиною за кошти Міністерства освіти і науки Німеччини.
They are worldwide tendencies, And this is best illustrated by a specific example of the implementation of significant international project in Igor Sikorsky Kyiv Polytechnic Institute, funded by German Ministry of Education and Science, aiming to establish a specific German-Ukrainian Center of Excellence for AI-aided big data analysis and transport infrastructures.
До речі, технічна можливість проведення нашої конференції в онлайн-форматі є також хорошою ілюстрацією практичного використання сучасних інформаційно-телекомунікаційних технологій, які створені на потреби життя та широко запровадили форми дистанційної діяльності людей упродовж останніх 2 років за нових умов, мається на увазі коронавірусних обмежень.
By the way, the technical feasibility of our conference in online format is also a good illustration of the practical use of modern information and communications technologies that are created for life's needs and are widely introduced different forms and means for remote human activities over the past 2 years over the coronavirus restrictions.
Ми вдячні керівництву секції та чаптерів IEEE Україна за співпрацю в організації проведення нашої конференції на базі КПІ імені Ігоря Сікорського в цих непростих зовнішніх умовах.
We are grateful to the leadership of IEEE Ukraine section and chapters for cooperation in the conference organization in Igor Sikorsky Kyiv Polytechnic Institute within difficult quarantine conditions.
Ми поінформувати, що до оргкомітету надійшло 90 доповідей від потенційних учасників конференції, від учених, які представляють такі країни: Україна, Сполучені Штати Америки, Німеччина, Китай, Ізраїль, Італія, Нова Зеландія, Грузія та Казахстан. До речі, представники Грузії і Казахстан присутні в цій залі зараз у нас при відкритті нашої конференції.
The organizing committee has received 90 reports from potential participants in the conference, including scientists from different countries: Ukraine, USA, Germany, China, Israel, Italy, New Zealand, Georgia, and Kazakhstan. And I would like to say that participants from Georgia and Kazakhstan are welcome to our conference, and they are at the moment present in our session.
Вчені в Україні представляють сферу науки в таких 36 провідних університетах. Серед них провідні заклади вищої освіти, такі як КПІ імені Ігоря Сікорського, Національний університет Львівська політехніка, Національний авіаційний університет, Харківський національний університет радіоелектроніки, Харківський національний університет імені Каразіна та інші.
Scientists of Ukraine represent the field of science in 36 leading universities, in particular Igor Sikorsky Kyiv Polytechnic Institute, Lviv Polytechnic National University, National Aviation University, Kharkiv National University of Radioelectronics, Karazina Kharkiv National University, and others.
Особливо відповідальну роботу виконала велика група фахівців в складі 53 вчених, які розглянули зміст авторських пропозицій і підготували 250 рецензій.
Particularly responsible work was performed by a large group of experts consisting of 53 scientists who received the content of author's proposal and prepared 250 reviews.
З урахуванням проведено рецензування до програми конференції включено 71 доповідь, тобто майже 80% від всіх поданих.
Taking into the account the reviewing results of all papers, 71 reports were included in conference program, which amounts to 80% of submitted reports.
Прийняті для включення до програми конференції доповіді розподілені по 4 секціях, а саме інфокомунікації 18 виступів, телекомунікації 16, радіотехніка 22, електроніка 15 доповідей.
The reports adopted for the inclusion in the conference program were divided into 4 sections, namely infocommunications 18 reports, telecommunications 16 reports, radio engineering 22 reports, and electronics 15 reports.
Сьогодні ми проводимо пленарне засідання, на якому буде заслухано 10 доповідей із всіх 4 зазначених тематичних напрямів конференції.
Today we hold the plenary session that represents 10 reports from all of 4 conference research areas.
Завтра буде проведено одночасно, паралельно 5 засідань секцій. Зокрема, секція радіотехніки буде розділена на 2 підсекції.
Tomorrow, all 5 sections will be held in parallel. In particular, the radio engineering section will be divided into subsections.
2 грудня відбудеться заключне пленарне засідання, на якому буде обговорено підсумки проведення нашої конференції.
The final plenary session will be held on the 2nd of December, and there the results of conference will be discussed.
Доповіді, які включені до програми та виголошені на конференції, будуть включені до збірника конференції і представлені в Explain Digital Library для публікації і індексації праць нашої конференції міжнародно визнаних для науково-метричних базах, зокрема Scopus, Web of Science та інші.
Papers included in the program and presented at the conference sessions will be submitted to IEEE Explorer Digital Library with the subsequent indexing in multiple international scientific databases, including Scopus, Web of Science, Google Scholar, etc.
Шановні учасники конференції, я маю приємну можливість щиро подякувати усім особам, завдяки діяльності яких стало можливим проведення 5-ї конференції UkrMiCo, а саме.
Dear participants, I have a pleasant opportunity to express my sincerely gratitude to each and everyone involved in making our event, the 5th UkrMiCo, possible, namely,
А саме авторам доповідей, які знайшли можливість розповісти про свої нові наукові здобутки у форматі нашої конференції.
Authors of reports who found the opportunity to talk about their new scientific achievements at our conference.
Усім рецензентам, які проявили об'єктивний розгляд наданих доповідей.
Reviewers who have shown objective consideration of the submitted reports.
Членам організаційного комітету, який вперше було сформовано під егідою та за участю керівництва української секції IEEE, завдяки чому конференцію ми проводимо з урахуванням усіх вимог і традицій IEEE конференції. Особливу вдячність я хочу висловити Євгену Пічкальову, Марії Євтихеєвій та Михайлу Балабану.
Members to organizational committee which was for the first time formed under the guidance and with the participation of Ukrainian section IEEE leaders, which resulted in taking into account all the requirements and the best traditions of IEEE conferences. Especially I want to be grateful to Evgen Pichkalyov, Maria Yevtukheyeva, and Михаїл Балабан.
Партнерам конференції, провідним університетам та високотехнологічним компаніям, з якими пов'язана повсякденна діяльність учених і які є учасниками UkrMiCo.
Conference partners, the leading universities and high-tech companies that are associated with the daily activities of different scientists who participate in UkrMiCo.
Тут наша особлива вдячність співзасновнику нашої конференції, професору Максиму Стрісі, представникам компанії LiveCell, Андрію Лебедєву, компанії Huawei Україна, Олександру Діденка. До речі, представники цих компаній є успішними вихованцями КПІ в минулі роки і сьогодні успішно працюють в цих широко відомих міжнародних компаніях.
Here I want to say my gratitude especially to Maxim Striha and to 2 of our ex-students, Alexander Dyadenko and Andriy Lebedyev, who are present today at our conference and who support our the relations with whom are supported by our university.
Тож, шановні колеги, бажаю всім нам успішного проведення 5-ї міжнародної конференції і бажаю успіхів у всіх цих справах. Дякую за увагу.
So, dear colleagues, let me extend my best wishes to all of us for a successful conference held in. Thank you for the attention and good luck.
Thank you, Mikhail Ilchenko, and thank you for such kind words about our efforts. Thank you for mention, and thank you for cooperation. I hope it will be in next years also. Now we will go to our welcome speeches, and our first speaker is co-founder, co-initiator of this UkrMiCo conference, Vice President of Academy of Science of the Higher School of Ukraine, Doctor of Science, Maxim Striha. You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, dear colleagues. It's a great honor and pleasure for me to welcome the conference on behalf of the Academy of Sciences of Higher School of Ukraine. Our academy was established 29 years ago by 50 prominent Ukrainian professors, and now its membership includes 450 leading scientists and scholars in all the fields of R&D and humanities, working in all the leading Ukrainian universities, including those ones which were mentioned by Professor Ilchenko right now. This conference is really extremely important, at least from one more point of view. It represents all the leading Ukrainian universities, and it demonstrates that research and development in Ukrainian universities is a very important part of scientific landscape of Ukraine. I'd like also to stress that we can be proud because our traditions in this sphere are very long-rooted. Professor Ivan Puluy, who was of Ukrainian origin, although he worked in Vienna and Prague, had constructed 130 years ago probably the best samples of Crookes tubes, which enabled him to study very sufficiently X-rays practically simultaneously with Wilhelm Röntgen. Professor Mykola Pelchikov, who worked in Odessa and Kharkiv, had demonstrated his first experiments in telemechanics in the year of 1898, some 6 months before Nikola Tesla did something similar. And Professor Vadim Lashkaryov was the first person to study the p-n junction, which is a principal element for all the modern electronics, in the year of 1941 here in Kyiv, because the beginning of war. And really, he was the person who started semiconductor physics of Ukraine. And I can continue this list of our achievements. And I believe that probably some young participants of this conference would also contribute to this list by their outstanding results. I wish all the members of the conference successful work and successful communication. I wish all the best to Ukrainian IEEE, which is a very important branch of our cooperation with the global world of science in this field. I wish all the best to Kyiv Polytechnical Institute, which is really a central point for this conference. And I'm very grateful to Professor Ilchenko for his tremendous efforts, which enabled 6 years ago the reincarnation of this conference after the Russian invasion and occupation of Crimea. And I wish all of us the end of this pandemic, all the pandemics will end somewhere. I wish you good health, and I really strongly support the idea of Professor Pichkalov to meet once more in Crimea after Crimea would be liberated, and will return this conference to its historical roots. Thank you.
Thank you, Maxim, and thank you that 7 years ago you really helped to cooperate with IEEE as Vice Minister. Thank you. And one more notice about your speech about Ivan Puluy-Lamp. That's fact that United States radiography, so image X-ray, was first did by Ivan Puluy-Lamp. So they start the radiography from his lamp. It's very important notice. Yeah.
Yes, it's really so, and it's preserved in museum, although sometimes it's noted just as a Crookes lamp, but in fact it was a special construction by Professor Puluy, which was
Yes.
a better round in comparison with the initial samples. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we will go to our next speaker. It is Chief Technical Officer of Huawei Ukraine, Alexander Dyadenko. You're welcome. Oh, sound, we didn't hear you. Not yet. Okay.
How about
yes.
now? How about now?
Yes.
Do you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Once more, Evgeny, thank you very much for giving me the word. Dear ladies and gentlemen, honored professor, participant, on behalf of Huawei, let me welcome you on this opening event IEEE UkrMiCo 2021. You know that science and technology innovation is what is driving the world, as well as brave people. I hope you are. Due to high level of science and technology, Huawei now is a top 1 telecom vendor and between the toppest ICT vendors. Huawei invests around 10% of its revenue to the science and technology. I think that is the main reasons why Huawei achieve such goals. 50% of our staff directly involved in R&D activity and product development. If you count into digits, it's around 100,000 people. That is another reason why is our customer base is growing each year, and we expand from telecom business now to corporate business and different enterprises. Currently, the Huawei serving around 50% of the Fortune 500 companies. We have seen rapid changes in IT telecom, including appearing in big data, artificial intelligence, and many other technology such as cloudification that require more capacity, mobility, and more features. By the way, Huawei continue to develop academy program to give access to latest knowledge of this technology and solution, such as SDN-based networking, 5G, cloud campus, and etc. Currently, I'm reviewing the articles, and I'm very happy to see a lot of articles and speeches dedicated to this topic, such as IoT, 5G, and etc. I'm really happy to this because I'm the alma mater of this university. I'm happy that our university is catching up and not only catching up, but also contributing with this new technology. I very much believe that Huawei will continue to support and develop relationship with KPI, and I will have more opportunity to give you speech next time. Thank you very much for inviting me. I wish all participants enjoy this conference and share the knowledge as much as possible, because we are coming to the knowledge market. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alexander, and thank you for Huawei for all of what they do for development science and engineering in Ukraine and in Kyiv Polytechnic Institute particularly. So we're going to our next speaker. This is Business Acceleration Manager of Lifestyle Company, Andriy Lebedev. So you're welcome.
Good morning. On behalf of Lifestyle, I would like to glad and welcome participants, guests, and organizers of UkrMiCo conference. Today, is a very exciting time in communication and radio engineering. The pace of technological development is extremely rapid, and it's accelerating and creating a lot of opportunities for scientists and engineers. I think that the telecommunications sector is lucky to have so many scientists, universities, and organizations and implementing it to the benefit of society. You lead the way and provide clear path of technological development for the industry so that year over year, we as a mobile operator can provide more and better services to our customers. Currently, LifeCell is actively developing 4G networks throughout Ukraine. Within few years, it is planned to introduce 5G that will help industry and business grow faster. And we are looking forward to implement new technologies presented on this conference. In LifeCell, we understand that only through joint effort of companies and research and educational institutions, we can move forward the telecommunication industry in our country. That is why one of the priority areas for LifeCell is development of innovation education. We provide opportunities for professional development of teachers, conduct lectures and workshops for students, invite them for internship in the company. And we will continue to do so because we see great results of such interaction. With such rapid advances in the radio and communication technologies, it's never been easy to share knowledge, and this conference is a great opportunity to share and gather ideas and make some connections. So personally, I graduated from Kyiv Polytechnical Institute, and using this opportunity, I would like to thank Mikhail Echimovich Ilchenko, Larisa Sergeyevna Globa, Leonid Alexandrovich Rivsky, Evgeny Arkadьевич Yakovlev, all the teachers, workers of the Institute for their dedication and passion in preparing new generation of scientists and engineers. Thank you for the invitation, and I wish you a productive and exciting conference.
Thank you very much, Andrei, and thank you for all efforts, assistance, and support that LifeCell company doing for conference and science in Ukraine. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I believe my duty is over because it was our last welcome speeches, and there will be next keynote speakers at the plenary session. Yes? So,
Yes.
thank you for your invitation of organizing committee to be a moderator of this part, and I move my duty to another moderators. Thank you.
Thank you. Большое спасибо, Евгений, спасибо большое, Максим Витальевич, Андрей Лебедев, Александр Деденко за ваши добрые слова в адрес нашей конференции. Действительно, мы вместе можем провести и проводим эту конференцию на уровне современных мировых стандартов. Сейчас мы подошли к рассмотрению пленарных докладов, которые включены в программу конференции.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Evgeny. Thanks to all other speakers for the kind words about our conference and about our university. And now we are starting our the reports from our plenary session.
Проведение этой конференции по нашему решению доручається двом молодим ученим, які активно і конкретно працюють в сфері інформаційно-телекомунікаційних технологій, мають вагомі власні наукові доробки, є кандидатами технічних наук, доцентами і дуже активно працюють із студентами. Студенти Інституту телекомунікаційних систем також беруть активну участь в проведенні нашої конференції.
To conduct our conference, we invite two young scientists from our department. They are lecturers of our department, PhD professor assistants, and they will conduct our plenary sessions. And as well, the students take active part in our conference.
Тож я з великим задоволенням передаю слово Ріні Новогрудській та Глібу Авдієнко.
So with a great pleasure, I give the word to Nina Novoglutska and Gleb Avdeenko.
Дякую за увагу.
Thank you. So, dear conference participants, let us start the reports of our keynote speakers. Our plenary meeting includes the reports from all 4 sections presented at the conference, and let us start from info communications.
So our first report is about Internet of Things technology. The Internet of Things technology is a modern paradigm where many objects are interconnected and communicate with each other over the Internet. The IoT facilitates the direct integration of physical objects with the cyber world through intelligent sensors, radio frequency identification tags, smartphones, and wearable devices. IoT networks offer a variety of application areas, covering environmental monitoring, healthcare, smart cities, military aviation, and intelligent transportation systems. The number of devices open to the public network is gradually increasing. Devices have a direct interaction with the physical world to connect data. So we welcome our first reporter is Professor Luntowski with interesting report about energy efficiency and security for IoT scenarios. Professor Luntowski, please, your presentation and speech.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for your introducing. And then I'd like to present my foils to you. Please tell me, can you see it, the title of my speech?
Yes, we see.
Yes, thank you very much. Energy efficiency and security for IoT scenarios via WSN, RFID, and NFC. The paper was prepared together with the team of co-authors, Mikhailo Klimash, Bogdan Shubin, representing Lviv National Polytechnic University, and together with a German colleague, Tim Zobiak, representing Dresden integration experts. The given work is aimed to investigation of energy efficiency issues for IoT devices based on combined mobile wireless sensor and contactless solutions. Furthermore, the security issues are discussed. The combined energy efficient solutions are widely interoperable with 4 and 5G base stations and microcells, the backbone Wi-Fi access points, and as well as with inexpensive and energy-efficient RFID NFC tags. The given scenarios provide multilateral security for IoT devices under use of not only of convenient public key infrastructure, hash computing, and digital signatures, but also under use of blockchain technology. Resource-intensive blockchain-based applications are by far compensated via a row of unquestionably advantages provided by blockchain IoT. Good. The agenda, motivation IoT devices, WSN and Perше, sensing radio technologies, contactless technologies, RFID and NFC, energy efficiency, a holistic approach, security aspects, conventional PKI, and advanced BC compulsoriness. Case studies. Probably on the case studies part, I would like to shorten my speech because of time. You know, the new communication style, machine to machine, provide more uplink data rate than downlink data rate. The multiple devices are connected via combined networks with asymmetric links, and the uplink information data is voluminous, much more than the small short commandos are downloaded on the devices. They communicate via asymmetric links, via combined or virtualized networks, DSL, MPLS, ATM, SONET, as well as macro cells from mobile providers, and 5 LTE and 5G, as well as together with access points of newly technology Wi-Fi 6 or micro and pico cells. M2M provide in combination with client service peer-to-peer structure intercommunication structures, so-called digital twins for automation, sensor nets, robotics, with energy efficiency, with also what is very important, minimal carbon dioxide footprint. Expenditures for IoT and blockchain are worldwide growing, and you can see that by year 2022, practically the 26% of IT expenditures worldwide in billions USD given is provide for supporting of IoT devices and solutions. Also, a big part of this big money is dedicated on blockchain expenditures for development of blockchain technology. The slogan is energy efficient and blockchain IoT. You can see the protocol stack for IoT devices. There are multiple approaches and technological solutions like Sigfox, 6LoWPAN, Bluetooth, RFID, LoRaWAN, LTE CAM, NB-IoT, and so on, are combined together via IP version 4 and 6, and based on transport protocols and a lot of application protocols, not only HTTP, MQTT, but also other protocols and approaches are given on the top of this protocol stack. The work provides a classification of wireless sensor network and radio technologies for IoT and so-called smart office. We use IoT and industrial IoT solutions to support a lot of applications, and with energy efficiency and guaranteed security. The wired field bus solutions are out of scope, but radio, wireless, and contactless solutions are very actual now. We investigate stars without gateway, stars with gateway, mesh, hybrid topologies, together with mesh with intelligent clustering topologies, and the choice not limited by the represented technologies. Also for radio and wireless, you can see it yellow part of this diagram, as well as RFID NFC technologies. Some technologies provide so-called energy harvesting with the use of ambient energy sources like solar, like piezo electrical solutions, as well as movement, as well as gradient of temperature, and so on. Some examples of IoT devices technologies are given below. They are characterized via measured tiny data rate in the combination with big data rate from mobile providers, good network covering, and energy efficiency. Some of them, like in ocean with measured tiny data rate, provide also energy harvesting. Energy harvesting mean autarky network nodes and reducing of costs for maintenance and operating during the duty cycle. The sensors for IoT at glance are given on the next foil. You can see some sensors with such devices. We have some experience, and we would like to introduce some of these case studies. Also, RFID technology plays growing meaning, and applications are used in logistics, trading, medicine, and industry for zero and so on. A networking of machines and workplaces is provided. Integrated reader and transported units are used with holistic tracing the products from the supplier to the customer. Automatic entries in machines and workpieces, databases, and so on. NFC is part of this technology with unification of RFID technology by some well-known standards. Okay, IoT, what does it mean? The paper examines multiple case studies and gives the answers to the key questions about security are to consider. Small energy consumption and energy efficiency, wide interoperability to 5G and beyond, 6G, WSN, RFID, NFC, robotics, wearable, and there are a lot of other technologies. New efficient communication models with decentralization, machine-to-machine communication style are focused on the shifting of cloud functionality from centralized model to on the edge to the energy autark autonomous network nodes of representing IoT devices. Peer-to-peer is used instead of convenient communication model client server instead of cloud-centric, but this is not only. We have advanced demands on security. Advanced demands on security are required, and advanced security must be guaranteed, not only via conventional network security approaches, but also via advanced IoT security approaches. The comparison of the both you can see at left side of this foil and at right side of this foil. Convenient technologies are centralized solution with service orchestrations, with communication style one-to-one or one-to-n devices, used using firewalls, intrusion detection, intrusion prevention systems, as well as widely used public key method, public key infrastructure. In comparison to advanced IoT security approaches using decentralized solutions, mostly service choreography with loosely coupling between the nodes and peer-to-peer structures within the mesh mesh structures end-to-end. This use of cooperative intrusion detection networks is the subject of my other publications, as well as under use of blockchain technology. Energy efficiency is provided via so-called low duty cycle principle. As you can see, sleeping phase, idle phase is necessary in contrast to transmitting, receiving, normal computing transition phases with immense energy, with huge energy consumption. Within the idle, within the sleep time, energy consumption is minimalized, and then the goal is minimizing of duty cycle. The ratio A between duty cycle and overall time is might to be shortened up to 1 till 10 persons. Is a very good reference value. Energy efficiency uses a holistic approach. A holistic approach means a multi-layered approach with considering and optimization of trade-offs between software frameworks, routing protocols, topology with dynamic clustering with so-called leech approach for cluster head voting, and then energy harvesting and management too for optimization of this low duty cycle. Some software technical solution provide data reduction, pre-processing, aggregation, data compression, data prediction approaches, methods. Energy efficient data acquisition with adaptive sampling, model-based adaptive sampling, and so on is used, and everything for low duty cycle principle. Also, optimization is necessary for data security and privacy. The IoT device, the IoT system must to guarantee it with conventional security, with public key infrastructure, simplified scheme, you know very well. Public key for encryption and private key for digital signature is used. The distribution of keys is provided via certification authority, via security guaranteeing certificates. But this approach not satisfying for modern conditions because of multilateral communication is provided machine-to-machine style. That's why based on general public key methods shown within details in the publication in the paper, because of instead of this approach, convenient approach, we use advanced security with blockchain. Blockchain simplified, can you see on the top of this foil, the blocks providing collection of transactions are provided to with headers and with hash. Hash is computing based on resource consuming hash method, and this hash provide reference on the next block, chaining of the next block with also a header, also containing a set of transactions and containing the next hash for referencing of the next block. Advanced security for IoT device can be provided via blockchain technology, not only blockchain from Bitcoin, so also via other blockchains provided via multiple algorithm and just like XMR, Monero, Ethereum, and so on, as a continuously expandable list of data records, hashes, and transactions in individual chain blocks. Modern IoT application and mobile apps are mostly very complex and consist of multiple communication parts. The potential benefits of so-called blockchain apps can be listed here. Software solution decentralization, compulsoriness for workflow steps for some critical IoT applications with multilateral communication models based on MGM communication style. So, based on the blockchain, we can provide smart contracting in opposite to conventional contracting with the necessity of proof via intermediary. We can see that smart contracting based on automated proof and query processing from all the parts of the contract can be provided via blockchain technologies. The blockchain technologies support the compulsoriness of the workflow steps and under multilateral communication. The content and blockchaining of this, sorry, just under, so the blockchain technology in detail is provided also in the publication, and I have characterized the essential differences to public key infrastructure, and just smart contracting has the following workflow. Commit all possible options and conditions in the form of source code, publish the contract in a blockchain. The contract is triggered by a specific event. Mostly used solution for blockchain in this case is Ethereum. Smart contract executes itself according to the details, defined conditions, but not only. There are a lot of other solutions for blockchain are supported via different technologies. Please.
Andrei Olegovich, sorry for interrupting, but we have time limit.
Yes, okay. I'm not over 20 minutes, but sorry. Okay, and then I'm practically on my part with case study. Yes. Do you see my foil? Smart contracting workflow. Good.
Yes.
Yes.
And let me introduce some case studies and best practices. A lot of such case study best practices I provide in my publication, but probably is not is interesting for you. RFID and Wi-Fi based monitoring and management of farm animals, meat cattle. Yeah, you can see that RFID readers are combined to the farms. The animals, the cattle is provided with RFID tags, and RFID tags helps to monitoring and management of the process of feeding, milking, also treatment of illnesses and so on, and the information about these animals are collected via dedicated servers and can be also secured via convenient and via advanced security technologies. Unfortunately, the animals see never the open air and the sun, practically because of all the life is within this automated stall. Okay, and together with the provided solution, supply chain management is possible to monitor the workflow of meat quality, 1, 2 till 9 steps. You can see here they are supported via blockchain for control of meat quality from feeding data, from logistic chains for meat deliverage and so on, yes, up till to the cart within supermarket. Okay, and there are a lot of other interesting issues I'd like to present you, but thank you very much for your commando to limit my speech with 20 minutes. And let me tell you about the practical issues of such works. We are participating on the 2 book projects for Springer, and one is together with Professor Klimash and Dr. Beshley with Lviv Polytechnic University, and together with other scientists from more than 10 countries, as well as the second one together with German colleague Dilbert Güter, a monograph. And probably we have no time for the conclusions, or you give me 1 minute.
Yes, of course.
Thank you very much. Only 1 minute. The conclusions. The work represents a short overview on WSN and faster sensing radio technologies, as well as contactless technologies. These technologies are suitable for the deployment by IoT industrial, IoT smart office, as well as aimed to support of energy efficient and security systems. Additionally, they are interoperable with a lot of further radio technologies. Energy efficiency is considered here as one of most important issues for IoT. A holistic approach on energy efficiency is provided on the basis of low duty cycle principle. And some scenarios are illustrated by above-mentioned approaches. Furthermore, the security aspects for IoT are examined, convenient public infrastructure and advanced blockchain compulsoriness are compared. The given scenarios provide multilateral security for IoT devices and the use of not only of hash computing digital signatures, but also under use of blockchain technology. Resource-intensive blockchain-based applications are by far compensated via a row of unquestionable advantages provided by blockchain IoT. Thank you very much for your attention. Please give me your questions. Probably do you have some questions?
Andrei Olegovich, thank you very much for such an interesting presentation. Andrei Olegovich is the representative of TU Dresden University, and this work, as we understand, was held in the collaboration with representatives of Lviv Polytechnic Institute. So thank you very much for such a comprehensive review on the energy efficiency and security of different IoT scenarios. Does anyone has a question?
Dear participants, please put your question. to reporter? No question. So I have one question. Andrei Olegovich, please show slide number 15.
Yes, yes.
Here the energy consumption. What is the unit of this energy consumption?
This is common principle for practically all of IoT devices because of they are energy efficiency and they have the requirements to be operated within 1/2 up to 10 years and by possibility without maintenance, without additional personal costs. That's why very important to reduce the active times, transmitting, receiving, computing, transition, and so on, up to 10%. It's a reference value, but even till one person by such solutions like 6-law WebIM or probably EN-Ocean is possible. Even by EN-Ocean, we have energy harvesting for reload of accumulators, and it's very important for accumulator long life.
Okay, and the next question: what parameters did you use for describing the energy efficiency of the proposed IoT network?
Which parameters? The mostly important integrative parameters is time of life for such energy autark network. Probably I can provide it with some examples. Such Starvis gateway based on energy harvesting nodes from EN-Ocean. They accumulate the data within the gateway and provide data transition to cloud and further processing. But the nodes itself, without energy harvesting, you can see it on the diagram, are operating much more than the nodes without energy harvesting. Energy harvesting is probably from electromagnetic smoke and probably from piezoelectric. Also very popular is the use of solar panel, and we can enlarge the time of use from 2 years up to 10 years.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you for your questions. Thank you for kindly introducing.
Thank you.
So our next report is given to the representative of Boris Grinchenko Kyiv University, Mahyar Tajdini. His report is devoted to different vulnerabilities of aviation navigation systems, and it's focusing on sniffing and spoofing of ADCB messages. So now your presentation.
Thank you so much.
So let's begin.
Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. Glad to having me there. My presentation is about like performing a sniffing and a spoofing attack against ADSB and MODES by using SDR, software-defined radio. Our team was including me and Vladimir Sokolov and Pavlo Escaladani. Okay, let's start from here. I'm going a bit fast, but firstly, I'm trying to create a good view of what is an air control system, and then I'm trying to get deeper to see how we can attack to this system and how we get information and how actually we performed all of this attack against the air control system. ATC-ATM is air traffic control and air traffic management. In this slide, specifically in these two areas, this green area and this yellow area, as you can see, it's kind of our interest. This part, talking about how each airplane communicating with towers on the air, on the land, and here it presents that how two airplanes they can communicate together. Yeah. So let's go to a bit next slide, and then I will talk about like how a collision avoidance system between airborne and airplane are working. Basically, I wanted to point, of course. In any kind of flight or something, you heard that safety first, yeah? But I'm not pretty sure they are really into security. Just maybe the word of safety is important for them, because that's the standard for ADSB. Actually, because of licensing, we had to bring here a draft version. We officially get into the final version of that, and it was exactly the same. I was searching the word of security in whole 670 pages of this standard. You cannot find even one word about the security. So that's the reason the whole of this system is vulnerable. Yeah. So because they haven't designed security in the system at all. So yeah. TCAS, traffic collision avoidance system. So if you have any kind of network background, so you know when two packet or frame in different layers, they start to move together, they may connect to each other, and then you have a collision. So none of your packet is not as it was, and most of your packet destroyed. On the air, when two airplanes are moving in front of each other, they have to communicate together in order to not have collision, in order like a car accident you may have on the road. So airplane may have such kind of accident. They are communicating together, they are talking together. The system today, we want to check the security and performing attack against that is exactly this communication system between airplane on the air and how they communicate with the land towers. The frequency which they are using for this communication, generally it's 1090 megahertz. And since we are using SDR, this is one of the simple SDR devices we were using. This is Blade RF, but in whole of this scenario, we were using two actually devices, one Blade RF, one Hack RF. Today is not with me, that Hack RF. And for example, with Hack RF, we have from 1 megahertz till 6 gigahertz. So 1090 megahertz definitely is in our range, and we can get all of those signals, yeah? Going a bit forward. How it works. ADSB has two modes, ADSB in and ADSB out. Yeah. with ADSB in, we can get some part of data, and with ADSB out, we are sending part of those data. For example, simply what today I want to show you is this geo altitude, for example, or a GPS offset, or for example, positioning about my airplane, which I'm moving exactly. So I'm sending all of those data, and somebody else in another hand side in ADSB, they are receiving those data, and that's how exactly ADSB works. ADSB has a frame according to the standards, which a few previous slide I've showed you. They have a frame, a structure. Yeah, the first 5 bits of this frame, it's a downlink format. And in downlink format, if I reference to my article, you can see some of them. For example, downlink format number 17 is extended scripture for nowadays ADSB, which we can see a lot of such kind of messages. Or for example, for military usages, DF22 they are using for that, for example. Yeah. Then we have a CA. And then we have AKO number. This International Civil Aviation Organization number is kind of a proprietary number. It's something like, if you are comparing with network, for example, something look like a MAC address in network devices. Yeah, each airplane, they have a registered number, and this is exactly belongs to them, and logically it shouldn't be changed. When they start to fly, they exactly attach this number, this account number, to their ADSB devices exactly. And then we have a message there, which is the most interesting part for us. Absolutely, this is this message. And in the end, we have some kind of checksum, but the big problem with this checksum, there is no security there. There is no authorization there. They are just a simple encoding of all of these bits, and that's it. So you can regenerate that, yeah? And we tried that, and it was successful exactly. The question, which kind of thread this ADSB can have, actually. So we don't have the authentication over the message. Exactly last slide I say that, because this checksum has no authentication over it. So anybody can send it. So if you have ADSB device in your hand, probably as a person you won't have this device because just companies, they have these devices. But imagine that you have personally that device, which we tried with SDR to create that device yourself. So you can send any kind of messages. By having that device, it means that you are authenticated to send anything as you want. Yeah, there is no authorization because since you just apply that account number in your devices, it means that you are authorized. So I can put any number I want. Yeah, so there is no authorization. And here we have a big issue, maybe not for companies like big flight companies, but for personal jets, for example, there is an issue with privacy. If you have a private jet, which in some countries like US, there are a lot, you may not want to leak this information of who registered that flight. Yeah, by having that account number, it means that by sniffing that packages, we can get that account number, and based on that, in public databases over the internet, even you can see who registered that airplane. Even, yeah, so we have even privacy issue over that. And since the message doesn't have any integrity, I say that there is a very simple hash on that message as a checksum, which is absolutely reversible, and you can like regenerate it. So we don't have integrity on that. And message freshness, you can just send messages. and don't care that who will get it, because actually this system is created based on broadcasting, and this exactly B in the end of that stands for broadcasting. And we don't have any encryption there. So clear text. Just get the package, you have everything. No encryption there. Yeah. Again, coming back to this slide, there is no security design on that system. That's why there is no authentication, there is no authorization, there is no encryption there is no message integrity. So everything which you know about the security, you have to forget in this system, actually. The system which already we are using in all aviation systems. This is a very simple example of how a message can look like. Yeah, I said that the first 5 bits, it was the type code. In this case, we just gathered some of them. I've been at home, and then with very simple antenna with the same device which I've showed you, we gather such information. And this 5 bit exactly shows the message type. Since this is, I guess, 20, and they are indicate for the positioning system. It means the rest of this information which you have as a binary here, they are just talking about the position of that airplane on that moment exactly. There are even Python module for that. You shouldn't even calculate that. You can just import. This is a very simple like code. You can just try it yourself. You can just import this PyModes and then just bring the message as just we copied that message. This is a hex format and this is binary format. Yeah, and just we copied that and you can get all of the information. Again, because everything is reversible and fully clear text, plain text, so you can see everything inside that. And as you can see, for example, here, the altitude was around, I don't know, 380 feet. That information was exactly inside that messaging. So, how we try to performing or sniffing section. We had an antenna, we had this blade RF with us. We were using a package called dump 1090, and then we had an application called virtual radar. And this is like a screenshot of that application. With a virtual radar, you can visualize all of those information. Because if you see all of these lines, maybe it's not very understandable for you. So we wanted to visualize it and see exactly each airplane locating at which places exactly, and get all of those information, not in a hex format, but in some format which is understandable for us. And we had to decode all of this. So this virtual radar is just a visualization part, and it's up to you. It's not that important. And as you can see, let me a bit try to zoom on that. You may see a bit better some messages from each of them and how they were talking together. Some of the messages which is interesting for me is such kind of message. Message type 21. We are talking about collision avoidance system. It means that when two airplanes are coming exactly in front of each other, they are talking that I am at this altitude, and it depends on the priority. Maybe they force each other to change their altitude in order to not crash together. Yeah. Imagine the scenario that Air Force, for example, F-22 coming in front of a civil airplane. So of course, this F-22 has higher priority, and forcing this another airplane, this civil airplane, to change and reduce the altitude. Yeah, they are talking exactly like that together. That's exactly the message which they are sending to each other. That clear text, exactly like a simple English format. Yeah. I want to bring that idea to you. Because in next slide, I'm going to spoof these messages. I'm trying to fake these messages. Imagine that there is no other airplane at this position, another airplane flying and like a bit lower than the first one, A and B, yeah? And I'm trying to jam the first one, And I'm trying to tell to this second airplane that I am a higher priority airplane in front of you, reduce your altitude. They are coming in front of each other. The signal jam, this is wireless system, the signal jam, he cannot get the real messages because even I can intercept the message and resend any message as I want there, and even I can make this crash happening. So this is actually is not just a security issue in protocol, this is a much more bigger issue. And for your information, according to ICAO standard, any airplane who has more than 19 passengers and or has more than 5.7 ton, it means like 5,700 kilogram weight, they have to use this system. So if I have a private jet, I am like not obliged to use that. But if I am, for example, a civil airplane, I have to use that. That's exactly the point which make it much more serious for us. Yeah. Let's go to the next slide. ADSB in and out. Yeah. So we've seen that how we can capture all of those information. We sniff all of those information and we decode all of those information. Simply, we can regenerate all of those signals, and if you have some devices again like a Blade RF, which is a full duplex, at the same time, instead of having two devices, I can have at the same time a sending and receiving, because this is a full duplex devices. Just for better integrity here, we were using two different devices. Hack RF is a half duplex and Blade RF is full duplex. I could just use this one Blade RF for both of this and then having this full circulation. Anyway, as I try to send this message, I can regenerate all of these messages. Again, referring back to our paper, you can see even how we regenerated all of those messages. We exactly regenerate the same messages as we wanted, regenerate the hash code of that, and with another device, we try to capture them, no difference between them. And even with real ADSP device, if we capture them, no differences. If you have like a simulated cockpit in front of you, the place which pilots are sitting and seeing all of this information and monitoring in front of them. So exactly you can see, yes, another airplane at this altitude coming near you and see all of those information. Because all of this information, they are not just simple text messages. By this cockpit and all of this monitoring device which they have, they are translating and they are showing to pilot what exactly is in front of you. And if there is autopilot, which mostly they are flying on autopilot mode, the device making decision based on those information. So that again brings another risk and danger because of that system. So here we are around like 2 years ago. We just published this paper recently, but this research is not that new. Even 2 years ago when I was working on that research, I was going to abroad, and this BAY 207, it was exactly the flight which I was sitting inside, and inside that airplane I was trying to capture the information which that airplane which I was sitting in exactly was transferring to others. Yeah, the very interesting point, this is not a prohibited device, and even I could make it much more simpler than that. And this device, you can find in market even at the size of a flash memory, any kind of SDR devices which supporting 1090 megahertz, absolutely fine. So nobody in airport gate, they are not preventing you to carry such kind of devices. Yeah. So now you can, with your imagination, see how many different scenario you may have. Yeah. So even from inside airplane or from the outside, what you can do. Again, I'm telling this. That was exactly the place which I've been inside. Okay, I guess like. Fine. That's it. Any question? Any question?
May I ask you? First of all, I have one question. Please, maybe, or if you tell or repeat, please, are you testing your methodic in real time, and in which type of aeroplane you were tested, if it was?
This airplane, as you can see, that was a Boeing.
It's your test and result in real time, yes?
It was exactly the airplane, yes, which I've been inside. You can search on the internet BAY 207 2 years ago, a Kiev to Tehran. That was the flight which I did. Hello? Hello? And that's the speed, for example, we had 429 knots speed we had on that time, heading 172. You can see there.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. My pleasure. We have another question. Can we reduce, because the voice is... Yeah, you have an echo. Yeah, thank you.
So, thank you for your presentation. So here I have some more of a question, just to be sure. First question, you said that this system should be used for those airplanes who has a 500 kilograms or
Yeah,
something, yes?
absolutely, yes.
So,
or more than 19 passengers.
So now we have that type of airplane. So what type of
Everywhere are using. Everywhere. Right now, any kind of flight are going and coming, everybody using ADS. Everybody. It has two versions, ADS-B1, ADS-B2. The difference between them is just additional data link format message. They put additional message, but no difference in security. Okay. In the last part of good question. In the last part of the presentation, we had two methods. We were talking about two methods: detection system, and we had some suggestions. Yeah. Firstly, before making any kind of prevention, they have to have a detection system. Actually, this is another paper soon we will going to publish, because that one, it was about like pen testing this system, and then we have to have a detection for another paper. But in the end of this paper, we had a detection method with machine learning. We say that if you capture all of these signals, because again, we are talking about the waves, so we can see the noise exactly on that waves. If I'm generating that, it's not exactly as another airplane generating that, yeah? So you can see a peak of noise there. By machine learning, we can see exactly how another airplane talking to me, usually at the place which I am, because if the weather is foggy, if I'm, for example, in special places, so the noise can be much more different, even higher or lower. So by capturing them and then having a machine learning method on that, yeah, so I can see what is the norm, and then based on that, I can see that's not a real one, and I can just say, okay, I passed this. I'm not listening. That's the method which we are proposing, but not in this article. We haven't talked too much about that. We say that just this is our method. Next article we will talk. About the detection, even I guess here, just a moment. I guess here even we had talked about that. Just give me a moment. Here later I will show you. Yes, it's around 90% accuracy with a less than 0.5% false positive rate. This is just a test. It's a still test. It's not in a production. It tests even we had such kind of accuracy. So if you bring it with real data and having a lot of, because now we are testing with just simple data. Yeah. If you bring a big data in that with machine learning, you will have much more than, maybe even more than 95, 96, even more. So simply we have 90% accuracy with 0.5% false positive rate. Another question.
So thank you very much.
My pleasure. This is our LinkedIn. Any questions? So anytime you can just contact us with email or in LinkedIn. We are glad to hear from you anytime.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
For your very interesting report.
Thank you.
So we are moving forward in our plenary session, and now
now we would like to talk a little bit about the problems with data that is collected from the satellite. To solve such problems, sometimes info communication means are also used. And nowadays, there are different systems under the development to work with such data that is collected from satellite. Such systems allow to determine the yield of certain crops, urban development, the scale of deforestation, and many other different problems. Our next guest will tell us how it is possible to solve one of such problems, and the report will be devoted to the analysis of satellite data for land irrigation monitoring. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Sorry, time limit is 20 minutes, please.
I remember. You see my presentation?
Yes.
So, good. So, we will start. Good morning, dear colleagues. We would like to present our work, and the theme of our work is Information Technology Analysis of Satellite Data for Land Irrigation Monitoring. The authors of our work are Vita Kashtan, Volodymyr Gnatushenko, and Sergei Zhir from Dnipro University of Technology. And today we would like to present our work, me, Vita Kashtan. So, we would like to start. In Ukraine, there is a repeat ground of agriculture production, which is the main industry consumer of fresh water. The higher the state of water scarcity for crop irrigation, the more rational it is to use the resources. There is a problem nowadays of the both excessive and inefficient watering, with reduced yields and threatens the country for food security. Water scarcity for crop production, it is a problem that needs to be addressed to ensure the efficiency of the industry in the face of growing demand for food. In recent years in our country, we can see the change of climatic conditions that affect the soil and the hydrological conditions of the soil. However, a significant trend towards future deterioration indicates the need for systematic, first of all, monitoring assessment of the hydrological and reclamation status of irrigated in order to timely develop environmental measures. Therefore, the urgent task is to solve, first of all, the problem of agriculture environmental monitoring, which involves constant monitoring control of the quantity and quality of land resources under irrigation. To solve this problem, we propose to use, first of all, comprehensive aerospace monitoring. And you can see the image in this slide. This will allow timely receipt of information on the state of agro-ecosystems of large years and obtain data on the soil and plate moisture, first of all, with the high spatial temporal resolution. In this work, we propose to use image from WorldView 2 satellite, which allows for detailed control over the condition of both crops and soils based on data contained in infrared range. Of course, nowadays there are much methods, first of all, of irrigated our monitoring, but this method was developed, first of all, for Sentinel satellite and don't take enough information which consists in infrared range. That's why the aims of our work, first of all, is to create an information technology of Dnipro region for irrigated monitoring lands based on the remote sensing data. In our work, we propose the algorithm of irrigation based on calculation of temporal differences for temporal and vegetation indices during the vegetation period. First of all, we need to download, yes, our input images. It is panchromatic and multispectral. In this slide, you can see that these images have reason of their resolution. That's why the main part, it is first of all pan-sharpening. What it means? It means we need to take the high resolution from panchromatic bands and spectral and intensity information, which consist in multispectral images. We proposed our native pan-sharpening method, which we have been present at the previous our work, and it's based on the hyperspectral and velvet transforms. Feature number 3 show you us about resulting of the proposed pan-sharpening method, and we can see that this image is more shaper than our input images. So after that, of course, we would like to present in our work, first of all, our modification vegetation indexes, which consist the main steps. Step number 1, it is land use, and in this step, it is important to increase information consent of the image for the, first of all, subsequent classification of this culture. We think that it helps you to greatly more using our modification vegetation indexes. Step number 2, analysis of meteorological data. It helps you to show the environmental parameters that are taken account for the analysis of correlation with spectral bands during the growing season. In this etap, it is necessary to use based on the same day, the day before, and average of the 3 days before the satellite images. We think so that these 3 observation times intended to consider both the immediate effect, first of all, of hurt, and the time lag effects of vegetation responding to whatever conditions. Step number 3, it's select period. Yes, it's necessary to choose the period of the study data. This is allows to calibrate the data and obtain a synthesis from 3 calculated coordinates, such as brightest, greenest, third. It makes possible to better determine the state of irrigated land. The step number 4, it is one of the main steps of our work. It's of course our analysis of vegetation indexes data such as NDVI, NDWI, MNDWI, and of course we need to select the optimal length of our irrigation. The dynamics of individual indices while maintaining trends has a known number of fluctuations caused by artificial such as watering time, snowing time, and of course our national cases. To identify stable trends or correlation, it is more expedient to use not the time, first of all, series of this or that parameter, but first of all discrete values of the differences of the observation parameter obtained by simply subtracting and data of the early satellite survey from the data of our survey. In this slide, you can see the well-known index editations and, of course, proposed our modification indexes, which you can see in the form number 1. The next part for us was very important. It's, of course, experimental our result. If this of this work, we would like to show you experimental visual result and, of course, our quantitative result. As I said, we are testing our method on the World View 2. You can see these images in this slide for 2021 year of Dnipro region in the summer season, such as June, July, and August. Figure 4A, 4B, and 4C show us the result of the proposed our method. Figure 4D show us the result during the drought period. It means the elevated temperature and low air humidity. And we can see that the moisture, yes, first of all, in the soil dry up, and it's clearly expressed, first of all, in example as river. Yes, we can see in this slide, it is not blue color and green color. Yes, it's still about drought. The feature number 4E show us the result of our proposed method after rainfall, which demonstrated water replenishment, and feature F4F show us rainfall, but after 6 days we demonstrated first of all the maximum moisture in the land. The next slide represent us give images, so we can see input our image and of course the result of the proposed method after rain 1 day, 6 days, and about drought. What we can see as the maximum, as the minimum to moisture in the land. Besides, this result obtained to accept the crops are required regular moisture for the cultivation, such as melons, corns, and vegetables, and showed a study increased in vegetation hour indexes. The dynamics of vegetation indices on winter crop in general corresponded the theoretical explanation number of cases and can be explained first of all by cultivation conditions differing snowing data of atmospheric, of course, our precipitations. The next important part is, of course, our quantitative analysis, and we would like to propose to use, first of all, standard correlation coefficients, and it is Pearson correlation analysis, which is characterized the presence of the linear relationship between two value samples, and its coefficients were applied to get linear correlation of our coefficients. Table number 1 represents as the result of the proposed coefficients and, of course, of our modifications. What we can see, first of all, we see differences, yes, in vegetation indices, which have, first of all, the best correlation with the irrigated field class. The soil moisture index is weakly related to the presence of the irrigation or not at all. This fact, first of all, finds experimentation if we take account the amount of, first of all, green biomass in irrigated field and the large total leaf year, often completely covering to soil. What is important? Very important, it is the fact that the ground of correlation, first of all, is absolutely all cases under consideration with an increase in the period between the data of satellite imaging. But it's not the last. The next part of experimental result, we ask themselves how it works in practical, what it means. Look very attentively. Table number 2 decided to verify the calculation, first of all, of satellite data and with ground data. It shows us the magnitude of the error in determining the irrigated field using differences in vegetation indices and isn't and doesn't, first of all, existed above 25% with duration of observation at least months. Somebody of you tell, oh, it's much error, 25%. Somebody of you maybe tells that it's less, more than 25. We think so that it's average result. We think so that it's not much good result, 25%, but at first ETAP, we think so that it's a very great result. Of course, we would like to continue to investigate, and we would like to have more than less 25%. And then we make some conclusion. What this work would like to tell you, some analyze what it means. It means if we would like to have more than 25%, we should take into account factors that cannot be identified or correlated in satellite hour calculations. About what it means. For example, it is snowing time, it is irrigated frequency, it is frequency and intensity of precipitation. That's why we would like to continue in stage this task, and we would like to have much result and more or less than 25%. So we can see that in this paper, in this work, we proposed use something new, information technology, analysis of satellite data, which is based on the calculation of the differences between temperature and vegetation indices during the growing period. Of course, we would like to continue, and in future we would like to develop, first of all, automatic processing of this data for irrigated and rainy hour years. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have some question, I would like to answer.
Dear participants, please put your question to Vita.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
Could you tell what type of neural network was used in your experimentation?
Please repeat, because I'm here not only your voices, but I have the phone of your voices. May you repeat?
Could you tell what type neural network was used in your experimentation?
Type work, you mean our geoinformation system, yes?
Yes, for segmentation.
For segmentation, first of all, for segmentation, we are using our native punch-happening method. If you tell about it, it's based on our hyperspectral and velvet transport we proposed at the previous hour work. If you see the hour slate about GIS information system, it's system which we have in the future. We used only at now only one part. It is part about irrigation monitoring. We used C++ and we testing with our MATLAB and ACT our product. We have testing first of all WOD-U2, WOD-U3 satellite data, which consists 8 bands.
What is your opinion regarding using neural networking?
It's good question because it's network we would like to continue at the future. This part is not corrected and nowadays. Yes, we have only some product we testing, but it will be the next part of our work, and we would like to show you the result of this part. And nowadays we have only some ideas, have something resulting, but it's resulting not testing at all at everything.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
A small question, possible. Could you tell me, could you compare your algorithms with algorithms which are existing before? And first questions, and second questions, what will we do if your borders of your ranges, it's not sharpening, for example, a very smoothing? What we'll do in this case?
Open demonstration. First of all, yes, looks very attentively. Yes, it is comparative analysis. It is method which is well known. Yes, and of course method which we proposed now. What we tell about modification? First of all, we use the differences between temperatures and of course vegetation indices during the growing season. That's why after that we tested our modification indexes. Yes, and well-known indices. Of course, we take information wind context in infrared range. Yes, first of all, multispectral WOD-U2 have 8 bands. Yes, infrared nearly daily, and that's why this information very important for us, and this temperature which we use. And their Pearson correlation tell us the result in which we have that these modification indices have more or less information and indexes that have well-known indexes such as NDVA, NDWA, and MNDWA. And the next questions, please repeat the next part of your questions you have.
What will your algorithm do if your border is not sharpening? It's border of small area.
Yes, really. In this work, I don't tell you why. It is due of the first part, pan-sharpening method. Why? Because we have the previous our work, yes, and the previous work we describe our pan-sharpening method. It is algorithm which compares first of all our input images, and if we have problem with borders, this pan-sharpening method, of course, have the rotation and act, and after that we can continue to do the next algorithm. Today we propose only algorithm about irrigation, but the previous work about pan-sharpening method, you can have answer of this question because it's automatic algorithm which answer it of your question and describe this if you have some problem with the images such as about boundary.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vita, for such an interesting presentation and report. Thank you once more.
Thank you very much.
And we are moving to our next reports. With this report, the track with info-communication reports are finished, and then we need to listen to the newest achievements in telecommunications sphere of knowledge. And the first presentation from this track is devoted to Wi-Fi indoor positioning problems, and Irina Solovskaya is welcome to the report.
Thank you. One moment. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. One moment. Good day, dear colleagues and participants. I would like to present a report, Linear Complex Planar Spline in Wi-Fi Indoor Position Problems. The current technological level of development of radio network today involves the application and service in location-based system. It means the services Google Map, photo, geolocation, targeted advertisement, and a lot of services for controlling influence, wishes, and equipment. To provide this service, use the mobile applications, and this service is based on the different technology. For example, Wi-Fi technology, Zigbee, AirFi, Bluetooth, and other different technologies. In this stage, when at the stage of choosing the indoor position method in this technology, usually consider a lot of condition. It means the significant resource limitation and limitation of memory, security, processing resource, and important things is decrease the position time of interconnection. And in now indoor position methods, today we consider the two types of method. It is known the indoor position based on the physical characteristics of radio signal and takes into account receive signal stage power level and user location. In general, this method proposes the process of different process of using different characteristics and different position algorithm. And from this in this work we use a fingerprinted method because this method is known to give the best position result. And the purpose of this work is to improve the user positions accuracy in Wi-Fi indoor network based on the fingerprinted method. In this method, we for the first time use the complex planar spline in position problem.
Irina, sorry for interrupting you. We see only first slide of your presentation.
Sorry. Now?
No. Only first.
Sorry. I chose my slide. One moment. It's problem. One moment. This?
The fourth slide.
Fourth? Thank you. I now on the first.
Yes.
My slide. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
F5.
Number 3 now. Yes.
Number three.
Yes. Thank you. I repeat my information. And one moment. The purpose of this work is to improve the user position accuracy in Wi-Fi network based on the fingerprinted method and using the finite element method based on the linear complex planar spline. In this work, we firstly present the complex planar spline in position system. Early in our preview work, we solving problem of restoration, predicting and improving the quality characteristic based on the real spline function. And fingerprinted method. This slide shows the fingerprinted method, and we will consider the Wi-Fi indoor network is a set of access points, and according to triangulation position, we will assume that the user device is within range of last 3 access points. And for finding the coordinates of user equipment, it means point M in blue area. We use the noun fingerprinted method and determining the user position from consists of 2 stages. The first stage is a create the fingerprinting database construction and stores value of receive signal strength at reference point, and second stage is measuring current RSS value and compare this value with result in fingerprinted database according to measuring and according to result in a database, fingerprinted matching in a real original fingerprinted method based on the nearest neighbor method and weighted car nearest method. And this method proposes the mean value of coordinate determining. And we propose to replace the matching method and calculation user coordinate with the method of finite element method using linear complex planar spline. Rectangles, blue rectangles of this picture. And in our opinion, we will improve the accuracy of location in significantly reduce with calculation complexity. Position algorithm in this modified position algorithm has 4 steps from fingerprinted method and 4 steps for our finite element method based on the complex planar spline. And at begin, the position request from user equipment to the nearest 3 access point based on the location initialization. And next step is Wi-Fi signal detection and measuring of level of received signal stretch. After this result of measuring sends to fingerprinting database, and next stage is working algorithm based on finite element method. It means building the linear complex planar spline and calculation for given area. After this first step is finding the location error of user location. This process, this slide shows the construction of a linear complex planar spline for the given area G. I want to remind you this blue area on this slide. Can you see my change slide? Yes?
Yes, we can see.
Thank you. And on the slide, this construction of area dash shows that in the square with side 8, left and right, and for construction a linear complex planar spline, we divide the square cells in the step H and divide each square with diagonal into 2 triangles. Triangles P1 and triangles P2. After this, consider the one of triangles and wedges. Wedges V1, V2, and V3. And in this construction, we consider the two conditions: condition real and real and imaginary part. According to this construction, we from triangulated domain construct a linear complex planar form for Formula 1 and use the interpolated function f from z at the wedges on the triangles P1 and P2. F from z is now on signal straight. After this calculation, we can obtain the result of coordinate user equipment. Lemma 1 shows the formula for calculating the error definition in algorithm. According to this construction, we obtain the construction of linear complex planar spline for given area J, and for this construction, so the result of our calculation and result of position algorithm based on the finite element method with complex linear planar spline. In conclusion, in this work, we propose the algorithm, position algorithm based on finite element method, and we choose a linear complex planar spline. And according to this algorithm, we obtain the result of construction linear complex planar spline, and which helps the decrease the accuracy of determining user location. And in direction of future research, we will consider the other types of complex planar spline and comparative analysis of this result obtained to improve the accuracy of user position in Wi-Fi indoor network. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Rina, for your presentation. Does someone have questions? Yes, please.
Hello. Probably I can ask you, Irina Nikolaevna. I'm very glad to see you. Probably I can ask you about possibility to use of your method for other types of location-based services. You told us about Wi-Fi based technology. Probably you can explain possibility to use your splines and so on for other types of radio technologies, GPS, or probably WSN, wireless sensor networks, and so on.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrei Olegovich. One moment, I will open my presentation. 1 minute. I will open the presentation, and I want to tell about the result of one moment. This can you see my presentation, please?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. This result of our research based on the two important things. It's the result of finding the coordinate of user. And this process provide in different technology, Wi-Fi technology. It means that technology, for example, Bluetooth, for example, AirFi technology, all process of location based on the near coordinate. This method helps find the coordinate in area, for example, and next step can use in different technology, depend on the task of location. For example, in 5 generation network, this process will be used in space, because this method based on the space spline can be used in technology in 5 generation network.
Yes, I see. And you told about enclosed indoor areas, probably outdoor too.
Outdoor too, but outdoor location system, usually the best location system is GPS system. And in outdoor, did not big problem in location. Usually problem in indoor system, because we consider only indoor system, but this process can be used in outdoor system.
Yes, yes. Trilateral, triangulation.
Yes, triangulation. Yes, yes, yes.
And which accuracy do you provide, especially with optimization with your spline methods?
Accuracy depends on the 2 factors. First factors is the step of interpolation. It's first, but the divided in square area we can is small, the smallest, for example, triangles in this, and it depends on the type of spline function. This work is simplest spline is linear spline. It's line. But we can use the quadratic, cubic, and other type of spline, and accuracy will be improved.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
There's a question. Are you really say that improve? Don't you see such effect that with increasing the order of interpolation function, you see the like peaks and so, and accuracy become smaller and not improved. And general question: what sort of a sophisticated method can you can give explanatory or some approximation and so? For example, in many modern models, BM model is used and it working good. What you generally say about such sophisticated method? Isn't it from the gun to the service in Russia?
You asked me about the approximately method and
general about your method. I think it's very sophisticated. How long have you calculated this model?
About our method, yes? About our
the
method.
General, I think that it's very, very sophisticated. For finite elements, for open space, it's very sophisticated. What alternative methods? I suppose some approximations will be more effective.
Yes. a lot of method used today in location. A lot of method, and approximated method in location. The first of spline and wavelet, and method based on the narrow network. And in this method based on the new type of spline function, this method worked in space. It's important task for method. In our preview work, we use spline function and compare spline function approximated with wavelet and other types of approximated. But in this work, only space position of user in Wi-Fi network, for example. But outdoor, it's really today process of location in outdoor. The best method is GPS method.
Thank you. And how long you calculated that? For example, in a modern computer, in
yes.
How long it was?
How long? I don't know. We use a linear spline. It's a simple method, and I don't know it term, but in MatCat is a simple process.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sergey, please put it.
Irina, small questions about your algorithms. You are talking about measuring position in the near zone, if I understand. For example, in one room. What about a situation when you are measuring positions in the different rooms or different floors, because the propagations of the Wi-Fi through the walls, it's very complicated and changes the level of RSS.
Yes. We consider only 3 access points for method triangulation, and we did not consider the process of signal, the process of size of room and flowers. We consider only 3 access points and triangulation for user, and consider this area for mathematics method, use the complex planar spline. But this process without flow, without wall and other situation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we heard the research results in the sphere of communication from Odessa, and now the representatives of another powerful scientific school from Kharkov will demonstrate the newest achievements. Alexandra Yeremenko, you're welcome for presentation and speech.
Good day, dear colleagues. I'm really nice to see you all. I hope that everything is fine with you. And let me introduce our research. One moment, please. Tell me, please, do you see my presentation?
Yes.
Yes.
Full screen mode, everything's okay?
Yes, everything is okay.
Thank you so much. My name is Alexandra Yeremenko, and I'm presenting Kharkiv National University of Radioelectronics, namely Department of Infocommunication Engineering, named after Professor Volodymyr Volodymyrovich Popovsky. And our report today is about resilience-aware traffic engineering, first hop redundancy protocol solution. So first of all, I would like to say that one of the major concerns in telecommunication systems and networks is guaranteeing its high availability, which result in improved quality of service and, of course, better network performance. That's why it's necessary to adopt current technology solutions to increase the overall fault tolerance level. For instance, in wide area networks, in hierarchical networks, it's applied such technical solutions and protocols like IP fast reroute, BGP peak fast reroute for software-defined networking, MPLS fast reroute, and IP fault-tolerant routing concept at all. Such concept includes several protocols, some class of protocols, which is the first hop redundancy protocols. And they are implemented to overcome default gateway router limitations, provide a means of fault-tolerant routing, and ensure network redundancy by eliminating appearance of the single point of failure. In this regard, it's highly recommended to develop appropriate also analytical methods and reasonable solutions of fault-tolerant routing under gateway redundancy techniques. Thus, we propose an enhanced flow-based mathematical model for fault-tolerant routing following the traffic engineering technology and also by analogy with mechanisms FHRP and specifically GLBP protocol. FHRP refers to a collection of protocols that enable a network router to take over immediately if the primary gateway router fails. In fact, the main issue arises when network lines connected to the same local network point to gateway router to exit the internal network. Within the first hop redundancy protocols group, we can distinguish the current protocols. Among them, it can be a hot standby router protocol, virtual router redundancy protocol, gateway load balancing protocol, which is actually we interested in improvement, in common address redundancy protocol, extreme standby router protocol, and some others which also can be used, and we have several publications about their comparison. Actually the problem that we want to consider is about distribution layer if to consider such network overview. Some information about the HSRP router protocol, and it's developed as redundancy protocol to configure routers to be members of some group and assigns a virtual IP address and the virtual MAC address employed by end devices to communicate with the gateway router. For the HSRP group, the router with the greatest priority is designated as the active router and is responsible for traffic forwarding actually. And the second router with the second highest priority is elected by a standby as backup, which will take the responsibility of routing packets in the event of the active router failure or when predefined criteria are fulfilled. All the remaining routers in the HSRP group are in the listening state. The second one is the virtual router redundancy protocol. It's an industry standard redundancy protocol introduced by IETF, and it supports several versions. And also it has some minor distinctions, but also they exist. For example, version 3 allows the backup router to become a master in a matter of seconds with no overhead traffic and no host involvement. The gateway load balancing protocol is another redundancy protocol owned by Cisco Systems, and it ensures network redundancy and splits the load among several devices by using one shared virtual IP address but many virtual MAC addresses. Actually we are interested exactly in such a concept because we believe that applying the concept of load balancing, and especially based on traffic engineering idea, it's a great tool to improve network performance and to use more efficiently the resource which is available in the case of its limitness. That's why we designed some mathematical methods that can be that can be applied as a background for new effective protocols for protecting the gateways in the case of failures. So firstly, we consider the model which we called enhanced model of traffic engineering, fault-tolerant routing. Here on this slide, you can see the scheme of the network, which actually describes what we're supposed to have in our model. So the structure of communication network is described by the graph G, which you can see here, and with the set of vertices, which contains also two disjoint sets R and V, where V actually it's like the virtual representation of access networks that connects to the core network R. R also includes two subsets, R plus, which is the set of edge routers, and R minus, which are the transit routers of the core network. And also we have a set of arcs, which can be distinguished also to core network links and access network links, which is between access networks V and the core network. The core network routers adjacent to the router, we also can distinguish within our model, and access network adjacent to the border routers. So suppose that we have the multi-flow case, and we have the K flows incoming to the edge routers from the access networks. And for each gates flow correspond the following parameters. First of all, we have access networks, which can be the source of the gates flow and destination of the gates flow. So source and destination networks, which are connected to the core. And with every flow, there is associated its average intensity, which is measured in packets per seconds, and also links capacities we also measure for these models in units of packets per seconds. And it is necessary to calculate the three types of control variables. So within the solving the problem that we formulated, yes, we have to calculate three types of routing variables. Variables X are responsible for the fraction of the flow in the link E, which is so it's routing within the network core. And we have Y and Z, which are access variables, which is the fractions of the gates flow in the access lines. So incoming to the core and outgoing from the core. So also we consider the following constraints and conditions within our problem, because finally we formulated the optimization problem. So within this optimization problem statement, we have necessary constraints and conditions. Firstly, we consider the case of multi-pass routing, which is mean that we can use several routes, and we create the multipass during the routing process. And these conditions can be applied to all of the involved control variables for core network and for access networks. Also we have the packet loss prevention conditions regarding the access lines for destination and source networks for the considered flows. Also we have the flow conservation conditions, which here is written for the routing variables for the network core. And finally, if we consider the fault tolerant routing case, we have to calculate also the backup multipass, which also will include the control variables for backup routes. We consider such variables with the dash in the up of our routing variables. And the same, we have routing variables for backup core links and backup access links. And for these backup routing variables also we will use the conditions mentioned above, which is 1.5. So in analogy to the previous conditions, we will consider also the backup routing variables. Next we have the protection conditions for the border router. What does it mean, protection? By protection we mean that when we will calculate the backup routes, the protected network element, for example, it can be link, it can be router, so we don't have to take into account the protected element when we calculate the backup route. So in the case, if we want to protect the border router, in the case when we have several routers which will form the virtual router, so it's a set of routers that will be involved in such process. So we have the following conditions to avoid its inclusion in the case of calculating the backup route. So overload preventing conditions. Also, it's a usual conditions that we use in our models. So here we have link capacities phi, and these conditions must be taken into account for both primary and backup routes. And also it contains parameter alpha, which is the upper bound of the network links utilization. So in such a case, in this condition, we take into account our traffic engineering concept. So finally, when we want to formulate the optimality criterion, we want to minimize this parameter upper bound of the network links utilization. So to calculate such routes, when the worst case of link utilization will be minimum. So we want to minimize the utilization of the network links. Numerical research for this model. Here in this slide, you can see the network structure under investigation. Suppose we have network V1, which is the source network for the flows, and V2, it's a destination network for the flows. And here we have from R1 to R12, it's our core network, and edge routers for network V1. So it will be routers R1, R4, R7 for the network V1, and R6, R9, R12 for the network V2. So we consider transmission of two flows from the network V1 to network V2. And during the study, the upper bounds of network link utilization for primary and backup paths, which is alpha and alpha dash, were estimated when implementing the default gateway protection scheme in event of a border router R4 failure. So suppose that, for example, R4 will be failed. So also we had here some comparison, and we realized in analogy, so balancing also in analogy to GLBP protocol, when there wasn't the load balancing for access links. Here routing variables Y and Z, which are access links between V1 and border routers. So they had just Boolean values. So it means there's no really flows balancing between them. So it's just Boolean values 0 and 1. So, and we modeled the proposed method in MATLAB environment. So we got some dependencies for different parameters of flows intensities, and we can see so some positive gain in the case of application of the proposed model in relation to that balancing that can be realized similar to GLBP protocol. So in the case of our model, the gain was positive. So we improved actually the balancing, and network link utilization was a little bit reduced. So which can be shown on the following figure. So the gain was approximately like for different cases of flows intensities, we have different positive gain. For primary roads, and the same we calculated for the backup. So it's a little bit lower, but in any case, we have some positive improvements regarding using the proposed enhanced model with traffic engineering and balancing options. So what can we say within the analysis of this model? So the conducted research established the model effectiveness for traffic engineering fault tolerance routing, and it allows to see the improvement in terms of upper bound of the network link utilization from 10-25% up to 40% when using the primary roads, and from 30% to 60% when using the backup roads. So overall reducing the upper bound of the network link utilization contributes to improving the network performance and average end-to-end packet delay, jitter, and packet loss probability, which are the leading quality of service indicators. However, we decided also to improve that model, which used under the case of applying the load balancing in accordance with traffic engineering approach, and we decided to include to balancing the parameters of availability. So we call this model as resilience-aware traffic engineering FHRP solution for short rate model. In relation to the previously mentioned model 1.9, we introduced the additional constraints and conditions with the corresponding balancing metrics, and these balancing metrics, so we made some comparisons, and these balancing metrics includes also the availability factor that characterize each border router according to its level of reliability. So now within the new model, we apply the balancing metrics, which are take into account all the availabilities of border routers which are taking part in forming the virtual router actually. So for this case, we have the following constraints and conditions which responsible for this balancing for primary roads, for backup roads, and we have them here. And for example, if the border router fails, its availability factor will become 0. So we have following constraints here for this case. Regarding the load balancing between network routers, it is proposed to implement it by ensuring compliance with the condition of overload preventing. Here we had a little bit different overload preventing condition. Why? Because here we take into account the worst case for routing variable, so primary or backup. So it's considered in the condition 26. So, and finally, also it's formulated as optimization problem with optimality criterion 28, when we want to minimize, again, the upper bound of the network link utilization. So also it was performed numerical research for the same network structure. It can be shown. Also, but here we consider transmission of the one flow with the specified intensity, mixed packets per second. Also, we can see here this interfaces, which is used for virtual router forming. It's R1, R4, R7, and R6, R9, R12. And solutions have been obtained for traffic engineering FHRP model previously mentioned, and proposed rate model. Some conclusions can be done in the case of the failure of R7 router. So, initial data for investigation shown in table 1. Here is availability factors of border routers and corresponding balancing metrics calculated. So one case was considered for the case when availabilities are approximately of the same range. However, the second variant was considered for the case when one router has availability which is much lower. And also we calculated for this case the balancing metric. So finally, we can
Alexandra, I will interrupt you. Excuse me. Please, 5 more minutes, no more than 5 minutes.
Yes, okay. Yes, it's almost conclusion. So within this table, we see the comparison of routing solutions for the TM model, for rate model, with corresponding level of utilization, and here it is shown the values of flows intensities which were calculated for different network links, access and core. So to conclude, what we can say, the novelty of the proposed model is the introduction of conditions to ensure the load balancing arriving from the access networks between the border routers, taking into account their reliability, availability factor. So it is the plus advantage in terms of improving the reliability when we send more traffic to more reliable border routers. However, we considered that actually it's not affect to negatively to network link utilization. So it's really good because always when we try to involve redundancy, we have to kind of trade off between network performance and network reliability. So in such case, we improved reliability in terms of using the specified balancing metrics, using the availability factors of border routers. However, it will not reduce, it will not have the negative impact to network link utilization. So thank you for your attention. I'm finished and ready for your questions.
Dear participants, please put your question to reporter.
Dear presenter, we've got a small question, 2 questions about your presentations. First one is about implementations of your algorithms in the real network devices. Could you try or no? And second one, questions about pay. What should we pay for your improvement? Because in real life, pluses not be without minuses. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for your question. Firstly, no, unfortunately, we just developed these models and we tried its in MATLAB environment. For now, it's analytical result. However, we have members in our group who will try to implement this in simulation equipment, simulation packages, and also we will try to do it in real environment. However, what about pluses and minuses? Yes, we wanted to estimate effectiveness in terms how negatively it will impact if we will include this availability parameter in relation to utilization. So we want to minimize it, yes? So if to compare the model when we take into account only minimizing the alpha, and then if we want to redirect traffic to more reliable interfaces, so it will not significantly impact. Even if we have, for example, availability which is really low, but such cases are rare, and in practice, availability is pretty high. So even in the case if we want to take into account, it will not affect negatively significantly to utilization. So we understand that it must be a trade-off. Yes, we tried to estimate such impact. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. One more question we have.
Dear Alexandra, thank you for your presentation. I have one question related to load balancing. Are you considering any underload preventing? So in one of your presentation slides, you said load balancing, are you considering some methods with the compliance of overloading preventing? What about underloading?
Underloading, no, it's interesting question. We didn't consider underloading. Yes, usually. No, we didn't take into account this question. Just overload prevention conditions we have, which is naturally to take into account.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
No more questions, yeah? Thank you, Alexandra, for interesting report. Dear participants, our first part of plenary session is over. Thanks to all guests, online and face-to-face participants, presenters and speakers. Now we will have a 2-hour break for lunch, and we will be waiting for you all here by the same link in 3 o'clock past meridian. See you.
Thank you very much. See you later.
See you, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.